baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennick.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hennick.
It's a Football Friday edition of Game Night. Josh Hennick hanging out with you. We got tons of football news to get to. We'll recap what happened with the Phillies as well as the Jets last night. All that and more. Fantasy football conversation, football picks, and of course my keys to the Eagles game, all coming up here on 97.3 ESPN. I'll dig deeper into my actual keys for the Eagles game coming up in about 20 minutes from now. As always, you guys can join the conversation. Your picks for the Eagles game, your thoughts on the football weekend and the Phillies. 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. I see Al, Jeff from Ocean City. I see your text. We'll get to you in a little bit, but I did want to start with a couple of news items. So first of all, the Eagles injury report came out. And I don't feel any differently today about the team I did yesterday. And if any of you were listening to me yesterday here on 97.3 ESPN, you will know that yesterday I did not have a lot of confidence in this team. Well, today the injury report came out, and as we expected, no A.J. Brown. Not surprising. Not something that anybody was like, oh man, I can't believe A.J. Brown's not playing. But what's problematic is we still have did not practice with a questionable for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And as I said, I'm going to give you my full keys to the game in about 20 minutes from now. But I got to tell you guys, before we get there, no C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a huge problem heading into this game. Derek Carr has a completion percentage this year of almost 77%. Derek Carr is having an amazing year. And I don't want to be a doom and gloom guy because I do think, as we talked about with Rob Motti yesterday here on 97.3 ESPN, Rob Motti from the Associated Press, the Eagles can win this game. But the only way they're going to win this game is if one of two things happens. Either the defense steps up or the offense goes nuts, because that's pretty much the only way Philadelphia has won any major game in the history of this franchise since Howie Roseman came back into control of the front office. And as I'm looking at this team right now, this team is all of a sudden looking way more flawed than it did 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months ago. And I know for some of you out there listening on 97.3 ESPN, or some of you who have tweeted at me at Josh Hennig on Twitter, you want to blame the head coach. And I just can't rock with that. Because at some point, it doesn't matter who the coach is. You got to have the players. It's been brought up numerous times that Bill Belichick never coached in a Super Bowl in the last 24 years without Tom Brady. Don Shula never won a Super Bowl for almost the final 20 years of his coaching career. Vince Lombardi didn't win a championship in Washington when he coached there. You know why? Because players play and coaches coach. And the biggest problem I have with a lot of the conversations we have, whether it's about the Phillies and their problems, whether it's about the Eagles and their issues and their struggles. I just don't tend to have the faith that I can blame anyone before I blame the players, unless it's a specific decision or move that I can blame them for. For example, I blame Fangio for the passive defense that they ran for the final minute 5 that the Falcons had the ball. And I don't understand why anyone would want to blame anyone else for that game on Monday night. Because here's the problem. It doesn't matter who's on the sideline. Right here, right now, we have questions about the roster. We have questions of the players. You all saw all of the draft experts, the way they talked about Jordan Davis, the way they talked about Jalen Carter, the way they talked about the players that Howie Roseman has drafted. We know what Dallas Goedert is capable of. We know that Darius Big Play Slay over the last several years has been one of the better corners in the NFL. We know how physically gifted Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Mekhi Becton are. I can go down the list. I can pull Sirianni. I can name half the team at a press conference. But I got to tell you guys, I don't look at Sirianni as a problem here. As the week is going on, I have a lot of questions about the roster Howie Roseman built. And I'm not going to get up here on a soapbox and tell you that Howie Roseman's a bum. But just like I criticized Daryl Morey after the Buddy Hield trade, and just like we have talked about right here on 97.3 ESPN about the questionable moves or lack of moves Dave Dombrowski has done with the Phillies in the last couple of years, I want to bring that same energy to the Philadelphia Eagles. Because if you are a football fan, or if you have been listening to 97.3 ESPN long enough, we appreciate all of you listening, whether it's on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City or 97.3 ESPN FM, wherever you're listening. Thank you for tuning in to the show on a Football Friday. But if you've been around consuming this content on this platform long enough, you know that it was just 6, 7, 8 years ago, Howie Roseman was a bum. He couldn't do anything right. And then they won a championship. And then they got back to a Super Bowl. But I think it's probably somewhere between Howie is the greatest GM of all time and the low of Howie's not a football guy. I don't want a nerd running my front office. It's probably somewhere in between of what and who Howie Roseman really is. And it's not that Daryl Morey can't win because he's never won a championship. So automatically means he can't win. But I also don't believe Daryl Morey is the best GM in basketball. And Dave Dombrowski is a future baseball Hall of Famer. But I'm not going to act like he's the best baseball front office guy in the league. So that's why I think we need to have more conversation blaming the men who have built these rosters and given it to these coaches. Because the Philadelphia Phillies have struck out over 50 times in the last 4 days. And unless you're going to fire the hitting coach, Kevin Long, I immediately go to the front office, not Rob Thompson. Because guess what, folks? Dave Dombrowski was the man with the, what are you going to call it? The ego, the chutzpah, the gravitas, the whatever, to sit there and say, this team is good enough to win a championship. I don't need to add another significant bat to this lineup. They don't need Brent Rooker. They don't need anyone else. We just need to improve the roster. We don't need help. That's a problem. It's a huge problem when you walk into a situation and you think that everything is fine and there's no room for improvement. What the Philadelphia Phillies did at the trade deadline is they went to a car dealership and they traded in their old car for a new one. They traded in Sir Anthony Dominguez for Carlos Estevez. They traded in Gregory Soto for Tanner Mills. They exchanged Christian Pache and Whit Merrifield for Austin Hayes, who hasn't even played for a month because he has a kidney issue. So I want to bring that same energy of my frustration with the Phillies to the Eagles, because the odds are not in the Phillies' favor, the Eagles' favor to win on Sunday. And unlike the Phillies, who have 162 games to quote unquote figure it out, the Philadelphia Eagles do not have that type of time to figure it out. And we had Michael Lombardi on with Mike Gill earlier today on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. It was abundantly clear that Michael Lombardi told you, as a former general manager in the NFL, you can't find pass rushers this time of year. You cannot just go out on the free agent market and just go grab a random guy and plug him in. And that's why when Vic Fangio said this yesterday, I was really, really frustrated. Because when Vic Fangio was asked, Coach, you're struggling against the run, you're not getting a pass rush, this was his explanation. And I hate these kind of answers.
Obviously played a lot of nickel these first two games because the teams are playing a lot of three wides against us. So, most teams' normal reaction is to play a good bit of nickel. I have to do a better job of coaching the guys on the technique and do the job better. I just haven't done a good enough job of getting that done.
Vic, what have you been doing for the last several months? You had all of off-season training activities, then mini camp, and then a month of training camp. You had months to get these guys prepared. And now you're telling me all of a sudden you got to do a better job? That sounds suspicious to me. I'm calling horse manure on this. I'm calling baloney, because I think the problem is the front office did not build this Eagles team with the foresight to have a break glass in case of emergency if certain players didn't perform. NFL teams do this all the time with quarterbacks. Why do you have a backup quarterback? You have a backup quarterback because if the starting quarterback gets injured, you don't want your team to completely fall apart. Well, look where we are now. You don't have a backup plan for Bryce Huff not playing well. You don't have a backup plan if Jordan Davis just suddenly doesn't turn out to be the player that we thought he was going to be. There is no backup plan for CJ Garner-Johnson being out with an injury. Because James Bradbury, he's out 6 to 8 weeks, it looks like. Sidney Brown will be out for at least the beginning chunk of the season, at least the first quarter of the season, as he still recovers from his injury he sustained several months ago. Torn knee. Remember that? There's no legitimate backup plan to help the defense. So why on earth would I think the Eagles defense is going to just suddenly be better because Vic Fangio does a better job coaching them up? Josh Hennick here, hanging out with you on a Football Friday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And you can suffer with me when we watch the Eagles and Saints game together this Sunday, because if the Eagles lose, like most people think they are going to, we can suffer together. Misery loves company. You can join me this Sunday at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton for your chance to win an A.J. Brown Eagles jersey, as well as tickets to go see David Spade in Atlantic City, as well as other great prizes. You must be present to win this Sunday. Join me to watch the Eagles in New Orleans against the Saints, the best offense statistically in the NFL, taking on the worst statistical defense in the NFL this Sunday at Doyle's Poorhouse. You might need a drink or two when you watch the Eagles and Saints play, so why not have that drink or two and hang out with me at Doyle's Poorhouse for your chance to win an A.J. Brown jersey, as well as tickets to go see David Spade in Atlantic City and other great prizes this Sunday at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton with me, Josh Hennig. Come watch the game, hang out, and if the Eagles lose, we can commiserate together at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton. Coming up next, my keys to the Eagles and Saints. If the Eagles do win, how will they win? I will explain it to you coming up next. Plus, Jeff from Ocean City and more texts on the other side at 609-403-0973 and your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
The hunt for October continues this weekend on ESPN Radio.
Swinging a high fly out toward right field as it sails over the wall for a grand slam.
The Philadelphia Phillies, sitting high atop the NL East, head to Citi Field to face the New York Mets, who are fighting for a wild card spot.
On its way, gone!
The Phillies at the Mets. Coverage begins tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern, with first pitch at 4:10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
It's Phillies baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Stop! Yes, I said stop before you buy a car anywhere. Because right now at Bennett Chevy, you can save up to 20% off your new car. That's right. Bennett Chevy selling new Chevys at true GM supplier employee prices. Plus, and this is huge, you get to keep all the rebates. You can save up to 20%. And you'll save even more with financing as low as 0%. Yes, Z-E-R-O at Bennett on EVs. And there's available 1.9% on other models. Looking for used? Trade any old clunker for a minimum $10,000. We don't care how old or how many miles. Heck, we don't even care if it runs. Just get it here, and you'll get a minimum $10,000 towards any pre-owned in stock. And Bennett's exclusive non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so you're never hassled to pay more. You're gonna love it here. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with the team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT, or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive presents a sports flash on 97.3 ESPN. A number of former Eagles have been nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, including Randall Cunningham, Darren Sproles, the running back at Irving Fryer, who spent some time with the Eagles from 1996 to 1998. The Pro Football Hall of Fame nominees will be cut down to 50 next week. The inductees, between 3 and 5 of the modern era, will be announced before Super Bowl in New Orleans this year. The Eagles this week visiting the New Orleans Saints right here on 97.3 ESPN.
Swing on a liner in the air to right, towards the line. Taylor, he's there, makes the catch, put it in the books.
Howie Rose with a call on the Mets radio network. Mets over the Phillies 10-6 yesterday. Philadelphia needs one win over the Mets this weekend to clinch a playoff spot. 2 wins, and they'll win the National League East Division. Mike said it on South Jersey's home for the Eagles. 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Our cooling, drying trend continues this weekend. Having said that, tomorrow will be a pleasant, dry, seasonable last day of summer. A few clouds tonight, low temperature 62. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high 77. There is a chance of a shower Sunday morning, then mostly cloudy and even cooler, high 72. Coastal flood advisories continue through this weekend, minor to moderate flooding at high tide. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use, at Bruno's Italian Market in Ventnor City for just $25.
This great deal is on sale now at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN. and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Let's hear what you guys have to say right now. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Banks. Yeah, before we get to Jonathan as well as Mike in Northfield, first Jeff in Ocean City chimed in a little bit earlier. Says, hey, Josh, with no A.J. Brown again, I fear the Eagles will struggle and the Saints will win 27-13. By the way, my buddy said, don't come home without a win, so I'm flying to Tampa on Monday. Oof. Well, first of all, it's a bad job by your buddies, Jeff in Ocean City, because you have no impact on the result of the game. You, the one man, being there or not being there. So I'm not gonna that's a bad job of your buddies. Your buddies are being really, really not cool. Okay. They're being ridiculous. That's a more lopsided score than even Mike Gill gave earlier on the Sports Bash, because Mike Gill's score was 31-20. You're going 27-13. I don't think the Eagles will only score 13. I feel pretty comfortable saying Philadelphia will score more than 13. Dallas scored 19 last week, and I think the Eagles are I can't believe I'm saying this. The Eagles are a better coach team than the Cowboys are. So I think the Philadelphia can at least get 20 in this game. I'll give you my full pick for the game a little bit later in the hour. Jonathan chimed in, and I got to say, I'm not sure where Jonathan is coming from, but I hope, Jonathan, you're not turning this into a parlay, because this would be the parlay with the greatest payout and the lowest odds of actually paying off. Holy Toledo, Batman. So let's go one by one with these thoughts. Okay. So he has Murray over 33.5 rushing yards. I believe you're talking about Kyler Murray, Jonathan. Don't love it only because I think the Lions still have a good defense. Yeah, they lost last week, but they held the Bucs to just 20 points. So I don't know if Murray's going to be able to scramble as much as people think he's going to in the game. Daniel Jones under 184.5 passing yards. I mean, that's easy. That's a definite yes. I think the Bengals defense is going to shut down the Giants and make them look bad in this game. Chris Godwin over 39.5 receiving yards. So Tampa is at home against Denver. I think he'll get the over just because Baker has to throw it to somebody, but I think it's probably a low-scoring game, so maybe he'll hit the number in terms of the over, but I don't know if he'll hit the number in terms of scoring a touchdown in the game. Now you have Henry over 49.5. I'm assuming it's Derrick Henry, and it's rushing yards. Not loving it against Dallas on the road, but it's certainly possible. You know, Derrick Henry is the kind of guy that can go off at any moment in time and have a big game. So I would never go against a guy with that type of special ability. But the Ravens have not ran him, I think, the way a lot of people thought. You know, if you're a fantasy football person, we could all agree that fantasy football-wise, Derrick Henry has been a disappointment. Derrick Henry has not been what people hoped he would be. This guy is averaging 65 rushing yards a game. So on big picture, he is nowhere near where you want him to be. He is nowhere near as productive as you hoped he would be. But that being said, I just gave you the number. 65 yards a game. That is certainly over 49.5. He also has Saquon Barkley over 49.5. I think the Eagles are going to be able to run the ball in this game. I think that part of the reason why the Saints have the gaudy numbers that they do this year is because they played the Panthers in week 1 and they blitzkrieg the Cowboys so badly. It's like if you ever watch a boxing match or an MMA match where a fighter comes in who's an underdog and stuns the favorite, right? It's kind of like when, oh my goodness, what was his name? Now I gotta look it up because it drive me nuts. The guy who beat Pacquiao. Let's see, Pacquiao. Let me see here. Jeff Horn. The first time Pacquiao and Horn fought, Jeff Horn stunned him a few times. And it was like Pacquiao never recovered in the fight. And Horn went on to get a unanimous decision, not because he's the better fighter, but because Pacquiao, he just didn't know it hit him. And sometimes in sports, whether it's football, whether it's boxing, whether it's anything, sometimes you stun somebody, they don't know what hit them, and they're stumbling around the rest of the fight. And I kind of feel like that's what happened in this fight, that Pacquiao went into the fight thinking he was going to get a certain result. And as soon as Jeff Horn staggered him, he realized, oh no, I'm in trouble. And I think that's a big reason why they are where they are. I think the Saints have surprised people. I think in part the Saints' success has been predicated on people not knowing what to expect of them. And allowing 14.5 points per game, which is fourth best in the NFL, is a byproduct of playing Bryce Young and the Panthers. So at least for me, I don't think the Saints are the team that won 47-10. And I think they're probably not the team that won 44-19 over the Cowboys. Remember, the Saints defense still allowed 353 total yards in the game to the Cowboys. It's not like they dominated. And you want to know how many rushing yards they allowed to a Cowboys team with inferior running backs? Inferior to Saquon Barkley for sure. 68. If Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott and all those guys can get 68 rushing yards against the Saints, I feel comfortable saying that Saquon can get the over 49.5. The other over that Jonathan asked me about is Brandon Ayuk over 49.5 receiving yards. Well, considering a lot of guys are injured for both San Francisco, Deebo Samuel being ruled out, George Kittle being doubtful, and for the Los Angeles Rams, who might not even have a kicker apparently if they don't get things figured out for Sunday's game. Keep an eye on that for your over-under totals this weekend. Sure, I think Ayuk can get the over on the receiving yards. The problem with Brandon Ayuk, it's not talent. The problem with Brandon Ayuk is he missed all of training camp. And when you miss time to refine your skills and work out with your teammates, there's going to be a learning curve. There's a reason why he doubled his production from week 1 to week 2. Week 1, 2 catches for 28 yards. Week 2, 4 catches for 43 yards. Why did the number go up? The number went up because Ayuk is starting to get back in the football shape, get back in the football mode. So I do think it's the over on that one. All right, Jonathan, hopefully I helped you out. Back to the text board. Mike in Northfield chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, Josh, I've been a Sirianni fan, but I'm wavering on his longevity. I remind at the end of the Doug Peterson era, everyone knew the front office wanted change, and regardless of the team's success, the relationship was over. It's hard to buy in when that cloud looms over someone's head. The players know it. Fans are starting to learn it. And Sirianni, well, he knows it. That's from Mike in Northfield. Mike, I tend not to disagree. I tend not to agree on a specific couple. I don't think your overall point is wrong. I want to start with that. I think that Mike in Northfield, your perspective on Sirianni's future is legitimate. There is a longevity question and there is a shelf life question on this guy. You know, the milk carton might have one date on it, but when you open it up and smell the milk, the sniff test gives you a different answer. And that's kind of where I think I'm at with Nick Sirianni. I think that the expiration date on Sirianni is further down the road than what my nose is smelling. And I don't think, though, it's like with Doug Peterson. I think the Doug Peterson thing is completely different. Here's why. The Doug Peterson situation came down to Doug wanting to have more autonomy over his coaching staff. Doug did not like the fact that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, all of them, were telling him who he could and couldn't have on his coaching staff. That was one problem that was a huge dividing line between the front office and Doug Peterson. That doesn't exist with the Eagles. We have heard Sal Paolantonio of ESPN, Diana Rossini of The Athletic, have both reported that the Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni, he didn't hire, quote unquote, Vic Fangio or Kellen Moore to be the coordinators. That those were the guys the Eagles front office wanted. Very different than Doug Peterson. The other problem with Doug Peterson was, I think that there was a disconnect between, and now again, I'm piecing together what I know. Okay. Some of it I've learned on the record, some of it I've learned off the record. Okay. So when I say this, whether it's Mike in Northfield or anyone listening to the sound of my voice on 97.3 ESPN, take this with a grain of salt. I think the Carson Wentz question was a huge point of contention in the organization. Looking back on everything that happened, I do wonder if there was a Carson Wentz problem earlier than we thought there was. And the reason I say that is because from the moment Carson Wentz got injured the first time, and I don't mean the knee injury in 2017, I'm going back to the rib injury in 2016. The organization traded Sam Bradford before the start of the 2016 season. And even though Carson Wentz was injured, I was concerned. I was very, very concerned that, oh no, is this guy an injury-prone person? And then when the front office gave him that huge contract, there was always a part of me that wondered how much of the Carson Wentz contract was Howie Roseman putting his stamp on a guy he drafted. How much of it was Jeffrey Lurie having a friendly relationship with Carson Wentz? How much of it was the Eagles saying, we are committed to the quarterback, even if we're not committed to the head coach? But when both imploded in 2020, it was easier to get rid of both than keep one or the other. So now with Sirianni, you are in a similar situation. Sirianni's longevity, I think, has less to do with the front office disconnect and more about the fact the front office says, we drafted the players, we signed the players, we believe they can be successful. But if you can't be the guy to drive us to where we want to go, well, You can always find another driver, right? Text board 609-403-0973. Jeff in Summers Point, which is spelled differently than Jeff in Ocean City. Jeff says, I'm not listening to the negative Nancy Jeff from Ocean City. I think the Eagles win big and prove a point this week. Jeff from Summers Point says 31-14 while I rip fireballs and Bud Lights, buddy. That's Jeff from Summers Point. I'm sure you will be ripping plenty of Bud Lights and fireballs while watching the game. Just drink responsibly, my friend. You could have the Bud Lights if you came out the Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton with me on Sunday. I don't know how it works with the fireballs there. I think that's probably like a shot they have to pour for you. I got to be honest with you guys. I just thought of this. In all of my years going out, I don't ever remember anyone ever ordering a fireball at a bar. I feel like a fireball is something like if you go to like a house party or a bonfire or a barbecue or, whatever, right? And it's like someone has fireball in their freezer. I've never been to a bar or a restaurant or anything where like I've heard or seen somebody ordering fireballs. I've seen plenty of Jägermeister ordered over the years, but not fireballs. All right, we'll get to more texts coming up the other side. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. My keys to the Eagles game and my Football Friday picks are next on 973 ESPN. Hey, Eagle fans, this is Josh Hennig inviting you to join me this Sunday for our 97.3 ESPN Eagles watch party at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton. Come out for your chance to win an A.J. Brown Eagles jersey and other great prizes we'll be giving away at halftime of the Eagles-Saints game. You must be present to win at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton for our 97.3 ESPN Eagles watch party. Come out to watch the Eagles game this Sunday and win prizes at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $200 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bet and see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. Terms and conditions apply.
John Legend here. How do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date with a COVID shot this season?
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Ask your healthcare provider and book at VaxAssist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Stop! Yes, I said stop before you buy a car anywhere. Because right now at Bennett Chevy, you can save up to 20% off your new car. That's right. Bennett Chevy selling new Chevys at true GM supplier employee prices. Plus, and this is huge, you get to keep all the rebates. You can save up to 20%. And you'll save even more with financing as low as 0%. Yes, Z-E-R-O at Bennett on EVs. And there's available 1.9% on other models. Looking for used? Trade any old clunker for a minimum $10,000. We don't care how old or how many miles. Heck, we don't even care if it runs. Just get it here, and you'll get a minimum $10,000 towards any pre-owned in stock. And Bennett's exclusive non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So you're never hassled to pay more. You're gonna love it here. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
To make switching to the new Boost Mobile risk-free, we're offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
So why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Because you have nothing to lose. Boost Mobile is offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
No, I asked why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Oh.
Wouldn't.
Because you love wasting money as a way to punish yourself because your mother never showed you enough love as a child?
Whoa. Easy there.
Yeah.
Applies to online activations. Requires port in and auto pay. Customers activating in stores may be charged non-refundable activation fees.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
A Gain Scent Bead story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain Scent Beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain Scent Beads. Try Gain Scent Beads, way fresher than detergent alone.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. I want to tell you about some unbeatable lease offers from my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City. Now through September 30th, you can drive home the 2025 Integra for just $399 a month with $29.95 down. Need a little more room? The 2024 RDX all-wheel drive is yours for just $393 a month with $49.95 down. Visit Key Acura of Atlantic City on Chilton Road in Egg Harbor Township, the small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Tommy, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor. Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Jersey Cow, a great place for the family to hang out and eat ice cream. At Jersey Cow, everything is homemade, small batch, right here in South Jersey with only the best ingredients. Enjoy Jersey Cow in Northfield and Brigantine with all the fall flavors, bringing back popular classics while introducing some future favorites as well. For the best ice cream with constantly rotating flavors, come taste the best homemade delicious ice cream made right at Jersey Cow. Visit every day from noon till 10 at both Northfield and Brigantine locations. Ice cream, a year-round thing at Jersey Cow.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You got to stop or slow down Alvin Kamara. And that doesn't mean just run. And let's face it, the Eagles' run defense has been porous. So you got to slow down the run with Alvin Kamara. But you also got to watch him in the pass game. And I'm not sure the Eagles linebackers can hang with him in any kind of man-to-man situations at all. He's hard to match up with. So, number one, stop or slow down number 41, because the Saints offense goes through him.
That was Mike Mayock on the Believe in Eagles podcast. And that's my first key for the Eagles versus the Saints this Sunday. You hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 12 p.m. right after Billy Schweim in the locker room. And then Merrill Reese and Mike Quick call all the action starting at 1 p.m. Alvin Kamara is the key to the Clint Kubiak offense. Clint Kubiak is the key to everything down in New Orleans, because Kubiak is the son of Gary Kubiak. Gary Kubiak comes from the Shanahan coaching tree. And I don't mean Kyle Shanahan. I mean Mike Shanahan. I'm going back to 90s Denver Broncos Mike Shanahan kind of running back. These type of coaches do an amazing job of putting running backs in a position to be successful. Mike Shanahan, Gary Kubiak, Clint Kubiak, Kyle Shanahan. They all do it. If the Eagles can get their run defense figured out, I think that's going to be a key. My number one key to this game is if the Eagles can put together a better run defense. And I think they can. I don't think it's a personnel issue entirely. I think it's a Vic Fangio calling the game issue. I think Vic needs to go a little old school. I think Vic needs to turn around and stop only having 2 or 3 down linemen. I think he needs to go a little heavier front. I want to see some Jordan Davis line up over the opposing center with Jalen Carter and Milton Williams on each side of him, and sometimes rotate in a guy like Thomas Booker or Moro Ojomo, right? Put your big boys on the line and tell them this game lives or dies with you guys. You either stop Kamara, slow him down, and get the Derek Carr, or you don't. Which brings us to key number 2. Mike Mayock, go.
They have 4 offensive linemen that were drafted in the first round, and they're healthy and playing well. Kubiak's using a fullback, multiple tight ends, including Foster Moreau. What they're doing is they're protecting Derek 2 ways, 1 through the run game and 2 through play action and max protection.
You got to cut through that max protection. You got to give the Saints a reason to stop max protecting the quarterback. You got to throw some more disguises out there. It was way too easy for the Falcons to drive down the field and dominate that game. So if you are the Eagles defense, if you're slowing down Kamara, now you're putting Carr in a position where you're saying, make Derek Carr beat you. Mike Mayock from the Believe in the Eagles podcast. Go.
The Eagles defense gave up a bunch of big plays to Green Bay. And then last week they gave up a 41-yard touchdown pass. They got to stop giving up the chunk plays, especially with Derek Carr off play action, because you got to make Derek Carr beat you in the red zone. You can't let him throw 30, 40, 50, 70-yard touchdown passes. If Derek Carr is going to beat you, it's got to be in the red zone.
Mike Mayock, former NFL GM, who was the general manager of the Raiders when Derek Carr was there. He knows him pretty well. Also on the Believe in Eagles podcast, former college and NFL player Mike Mayock. To me, every key comes down to the Eagles defense. It has nothing to do with the offense at all. I'm telling you guys, I'm not worried about the Eagles offense at all. I think the Eagles offense is just fine. I'm not going to hold one bad pass against Jalen Hurts. Yes, Jalen Hurts has thrown 18 interceptions in his last 19 games. Yes, he has thrown an interception in 5 consecutive starts. But we pick and choose when we allow quarterbacks throw interceptions, and we complain about it in sports. Nobody cared that John Elway or Brett Favre threw interceptions. but we cared when Peyton Manning did. I think it was a double standard with this stuff sometimes. So to me, it's not about the interception at the end of the game. I think the Eagles offense is just fine. They're going to be good. They're going to figure it out. But the key for the Eagles to win on Sunday is the defense. But I don't think it'll happen. I hate being that guy. But when I'm at Dole's Poorhouse in Tuckerton this Sunday for our Eagles watch party, the 97.3 ESPN Eagles watch party, I'll be there the whole game giving away prizes, an A.J. Brown Eagles jersey, as well as tickets to see David Spade comedy show in Atlantic City and more. When I'm up there giving away prizes and watching the game, I think the Eagles are going to lose this game. I have the Saints at home. They're a very good football team. And I think the Saints win the game 30-24, which is why my first pick for the Football Friday picks, we'll start with the NFL. I am 25-22 on the year. I had a horrible start to the year, but I'm making a comeback, as LL Cool J would say. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, working through these numbers since 2018 when sports betting became legal here in New Jersey, here on 97.3 ESPN, live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios, the Fanatics Sportsbook. Go to the gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Eagles Saints over 49.5. I think the Eagles are going to be able to score on the Saints defense more than any other team has, but I think the Saints will also score on the Eagles defense. Give me the over 49.5. On the flip side, give me the under 35 for the Chargers and the Steelers. Jim Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin are two old school coaches who love rock fights. They do not like anything fancy at all. I wouldn't be surprised if there are not even paintings in these guys' houses or pictures of their families. I kid, obviously, but I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, under 35. Also, give me the under on the Giants team total, 50.5. They're at Cleveland. The Browns are going to beat these guys like 30-10. It's going to be an ugly game. There's going to be a defensive touchdown. I think Cleveland wins easily, and the Giants offense looks bad. Also, give me Denver under 16.5 at Tampa. If the Detroit Lions struggle to score against Tampa's defense, what chance and what reality does Denver going to score more than 16 points against Tampa's defense on the road? No, that ain't happening. Give me under Denver total 16.5. Also, give me the under the 49ers-Rams game. No Deebo Samuel. George Kittle questionable. The Rams have no Puka Nacua, no Cooper Kupp. Who on earth is scoring in this game? I have no idea. Rona Dunze, he is active. Keenan Allen is not. So give me a Dunze over 37 receiving yards for the Bears at the Colts. And finally, Devontae Adams, anytime touchdown, plus 27. I have no idea why it's plus 27, but give me the number. Carolina's defense is not good. Somewhere Jeff in Ocean City, you know what he's waiting for?
Stone cold lock of the century. On the way.
USC is going to Michigan. I have no idea why these numbers are so low, because there's no injuries for USC to suggest they are. USC team total is 24.5, and they're only favored by 5.5. Give me the over on both for my
Stone cold lock of the century. On the way.
I also like it when you hear the game here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll have tomorrow evening, following the Phillies game, which will be tomorrow afternoon, will be Oklahoma and Tennessee. Thank you to everybody for tuning in to 97.3 ESPN. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow with Billy Schweim in the locker room.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, Mr. Everything Josh Hennick, and former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Klemick joined me in the studio. Hour 1, we go on the mound with former Phillies pitcher Tommy Green, brought to you by Blitz's Market of Ocean City. Tommy talks Phillies baseball. Hour 2, we'll hear from Mr. Negadelphia PJ Corder, brought to you by Galloway Pool Service, plus Tim Chu, founder of TicksForGood.org. Then we'll hear from longtime NFL strength and conditioning coach Jeff Hurd. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, for those of you who tune in to hear the rest of the football picks, I do have the rest of the sheet here. So overall in college football, we are 33-21 on the year. Let's try to improve those numbers. I already gave you the USC numbers. Look, USC is a school. I just don't get them. Like, I don't understand the constant disrespect they get, but they are constantly disrespected. It's absolutely wild to me. My other picks for the college football weekend: Utah at Oklahoma State, 2.5. Cam Rising seems to be never healthy, and Utah's offense is not great. I think Oklahoma State wins this game by at least a touchdown or more. It's in Stillwater, so it's a home game for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Illinois and Nebraska, under 42.5. Two great defenses going blow for blow. I like the under in that game. It's going to be a defensive battle. Probably one of those, 24-17 kind of games. Also, in college football, I don't know why NC State is a plus 18.5 point dog at Clemson. It makes no sense to me. Clemson's not a good team, and NC State is actually solid. The odds makers, I wrote this down in my notes here. They have a higher value for NC State as a dog than for Clemson as a favorite. So what you got to do sometimes, folks, is you got to look at the numbers. Clemson is almost an even odds value. So basically the way it works is the less the minus number. So for example, for Clemson, it's minus 103. The less the value, the odds makers are telling you that they don't believe that number has a lot of value. And what they're doing is putting less value, minus 113, on NC State. So what they're doing is they're subconsciously telling you, or subliminally telling you, right? Whatever you want to call it. Not subconsciously. What am I talking about? No, they are giving you a subliminal message. They're telling you that when you look at this game, they are giving you less value or less winnings if you get it right for NC State versus Clemson. That's why I'm going with the 18.5. Because the book is telling you, the odds makers are telling you, they don't feel great about the number. Another number doesn't add up to me. And I think this is where I think the odds makers sometimes get themselves in trouble. I used to say for years, MMA fighters are a perfect example of odds makers not knowing what they're doing sometimes. Here's another one. UCLA at LSU. The team total for LSU is 38.5. I'm sorry, did Indiana, who is not a good offense, not go to UCLA last week and score over 40 points? You're expecting me to believe that a UCLA team that couldn't stop Indiana at home, coming off a bye week with 2 weeks to prepare, they couldn't stop Indiana. But now UCLA is going to go on the road to Death Valley to play the Louisiana State Tigers, and they're going to keep them to 38 points or less? Get out of here with that baloney. Give me over 38.5 for LSU team total. Also, Colorado is only a 1.5 point favorite at home versus Baylor. Two reasons why I think Colorado is going to win this game outright, and they're going to win by more than 2 points. Number one, Colorado has not one but 2 kickers, which means they are prepared for any kicking scenario that Baylor would present to them. I think that this game will be won by 3 or more points because what are field goals worth? 3 points. Number two, Baylor is not a good offense. And if Colorado picks up any type of steam, they are going to run away from Baylor. Baylor was a team whose defense was solid against Utah, but Utah was playing with a backup quarterback. The offense that Colorado is bringing to the table is way better than Utah. Baylor is not going to be able to keep up with them. Give me the Colorado to cover the 1.5 at home versus Baylor. All right, this is Football Friday Picks. Thank you for watching the post show. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, share with your friends. I appreciate everyone watching. And again, I will see you guys. So tomorrow, I'll be with Billy Schweim in the locker room, covering for Nick Earnshaw tomorrow morning on 97.3 ESPN FM. And then on Sunday, I will be live hanging out with all of you at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton for our Eagles watch party. Eagles probably lose to the Saints, but at least I'm mentally prepared for it. And if they don't lose, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Josh Hennig here. I'll catch you guys also on Monday for the next edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, of course, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, and of course, streaming live right here on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Have a great night, everybody.